All right, Harry, we are ready when you are.
Okay, sounds great. Hello and good afternoon. This is Harry Dickens from Arkansas/Texas. I'm here for this portion of the Future Ready Schools Leadership Summit. I'm so glad to be here with all the folks online, and some of our friends are actually online right now. My friend George Lear is actually online right now also from Fort Smith, Arkansas. I'd just like to thank TCAL, the Future Ready Schools and Learning Revolution for this opportunity to do this. It's very, very exciting. I'd also like to give a shout out to TCAL and Jason and Roland. You guys have done a great job in California as well as Arkansas. We came together a long time ago, almost 15 years ago, to start the TCAL project here in Arkansas. We're so excited about it. And would also like to thank all these fine sponsors here from California, around the world, and even here in Arkansas. We'd just like to thank all of them for being supporting this broadcast. And a little bit about me. My name is Harry Dickens, and I am an Arkansan, but live in Texas. I live on a state line, so I live on a border, but I've always worked in Arkansas. So my job when I was working in schools, I'm a consultant now, but when I worked in schools, I was the go-between between the tech side and the teacher side. I was a classroom teacher for 12 years, and then I decided to move into administration, and that meant going into instructional technology. And I was our technology director here in the Texarkana, Arkansas schools for 6 years after leaving the classroom for 12 years. I'm also an author consultant with Corin Press, and I've written 3 books on using applications or apps in the classroom with Corin, and been very successful with that, and enjoyed writing and presenting around the country with Corin. Also am a member of TCAL, Arkansas, one of the original TCAL members a long time ago. Also a member of TIE, which is TIE is our technology infused educators here in Arkansas. And I've also started another group of technology-infused educators here in Arkansas with over 200 members in different education cooperatives around the state. And right now, I'm actually an education consultant with several districts around the state, even my home district here in Texarkana. And in Texarkana, we have written a couple of magnet school assistance grants over the last, I would say, 8 years, which have totaled about $20 million. And so with that, there comes a lot of technology, and that's why I'm glad I'm getting to talk about this part of the broadcast about budgeting for the future. We have spent a lot of money on technology over the past few years, and with $20 million, we had to have lots of resources and lots of people to make this happen. So I've been blessed to have the opportunity to come back home and actually spend time in my home district with the second grant that we've written, which is another $10 million. And we've added additional staff, instructional tech support, as well as instructional technology coordinators for the district. So budgeting for the future, what does that involve? Well, technology has become more persuasive in our everyday lives. It can enable teachers and students to work smarter and more efficiently. But as in anything, all tools must change. As you notice, I've got a computer screen here that doesn't have an Apple or Microsoft logo. It looks a little different, but it has a keyboard. All tools change. For example, a few years ago, I had the ability to plug my MP3 player into a cassette adapter and put it into an adapter in my car stereo system to listen to music. That was a big wow a long time ago, and it also required a lot of cables. But now I can listen to my music on my phone, take my phone to my car. It connects automatically to my car stereo system I can make phone calls. I can play downloaded music as well as connect to Pandora and other music services. And now, since about 6 weeks ago, I've got the Apple Watch. Now I've incorporated the Apple Watch into that mix also. So things do change, and they change for the better. So what do we need to do to think about budgeting for the future in our classrooms? One thing we have to look at are the traditional 3 R's, which is reading, writing, and arithmetic. It's kind of hard to say that. Reading, writing, arithmetic, with the 4 C's. Those 4 C's include critical thinking, creativity, communication, and collaboration. As students develop the 4 C's, we have discovered that effective applications of these vital skills in technology-infused lives of students need technology-infused learning environments. These environments call for 2 elements. We must increasingly put technology into the hands of students and must trust them with more progressive technology use. So what do we have to do to make that happen? So here's the common rule. The common rule for technology in most cases is 3 years. Not necessarily replacing all of the computers at once, but upgrading a portion of the machines every year. One thing that we instilled here in Texarkana was we wanted to replace at least 20% of our computers every year so that we would not ever have the problem of having to replace a lot of computers. So replacing at least 20% of our computers. At that time, we had about 3,000 computers in the district. So that meant replacing around 600. And we worked really hard with budgets of different school buildings, with different directors, with different programs like special education, career and technical, to make sure that we actually covered that our goal of 20%. Another thing you need to do when you're looking at your technology is also look at the hardware, include the brands, the type, the processor speeds, the memory, the drives, all those things, so that when it's time to evaluate the needs for additional software and applications, you can quickly prioritize your hardware upgrades. So if there's time for a hardware upgrade, when there's new software coming in, you'll actually know what you can actually run. And we also always say, what device is the right type? Well, devices have changed over the past few years. I was reading an article earlier today from Ryan Imbrale. He's the Executive Director of Innovations Learning from Baltimore County School District in Maryland. He says that their district of 110,000 students and 8,800 teachers will use HP EliteBook Revolve 810G3 laptop hybrid computers by the end of 2017. And I've seen that in a lot of districts. We've seen the Microsoft Surface, because it has a keyboard, which is is a tool. As kids get older, they need that keyboard. This district is going strictly with that laptop hybrid, so they have a laptop/tablet for their students. Other things to consider. With the growth of the wireless network, technology coordinators must remember updates to those access points and all those types of things, devices, and connecting. It's because we also need more bandwidth along with the bandwidth hardware and software to make everything run. You never want to go back to your school board and say, oops, I forgot to add this. I've seen that happen in schools where we get all the equipment and our network can't handle it. I've been in districts where you have plenty of devices, but you can't go anywhere because the bandwidth is not there. And I think to make this happen, you have to have an open communication between all stakeholders. It will be needed for a clear future-ready plan to be devised. In our district, before we start our last grant, I believe the district had about 85 megs of bandwidth for 4,400 students, which was not going to be enough. Currently, we are a 1 gigabit connection right now, so we've added about 3,000 devices, so we needed more bandwidth, and so we moved to a gigabit connection, and it's been a wonderful addition to our district here in Texarkana. And those are the things you have to think about before adding more devices. And also, like I said earlier, the common goal is every 3 years we must replace. So what's our new mindset? Why do we do this? Well, this is one of our TV production centers at one of our campuses. That's the new mindset. It's not all about having a row of computers in a computer lab. The teacher was the focal point of the classroom at one time, creating often time-consuming interactives and multimedia presentations. And I will always say those presents that really get you dizzy. And, that was to add the shock and awe value to his or her lessons and to capture the attention of the 21st century student. A new mindset is in place now. This mindset must emerge, which depends on a vital shift from teacher-student roles. In this configuration, the teacher acts as a learning catalyst, and sometimes we say the sage, not the sage on the stage, but on the side. The teachers must orchestrate and facilitate activities that spark defining moments for students. The most effective activities take two forms. They take on discovery, which is awesome for students, and it also takes on, imagine this, creation. That's the thing we want all students to do. We want them to create, which is what most of us call project-based learning, and that's something that's been really big in our district, and that's been the push behind a lot of our technology purchases these past 3 years in the last grant and also in the previous grant. I think the previous grant was more about infrastructure and getting things for the classroom teacher, but this grant has really been focused on what we need for the students. With potential fingertips access to incredible student opportunities online, principals and teachers have a great responsibility to innovatively harness the power of technological resources. Ideally, to maximize these opportunities, every student needs direct access to technology on a daily basis. That's something else. Direct access to technology on a daily basis. So this means moving away from those days of visiting the computer lab. I almost cringe when I hear districts say, yes, we're adding more computer labs. In our world now, we are moving to more of a one-to-one initiative in the classroom. And for some folks, that may be bring your own device. That may be enough devices for every student in the classroom. We never know, but we have to move toward a one-to-one initiative in our classroom so students have direct access to technology on a daily basis. So don't forget these things also. We've already talked about the 3 years for the computers, but we also have to talk about other things too. It's not just the computer. We have to remember a plan for upgrading servers and printers. If we don't have a contract with your printer reseller, you have to think about other things. So one thing that we ran into in our magnet grant in our schools here in Texarkana, our updates now, they include interactive touch displays, not interactive whiteboards, robotic supplies, and devices and software for that. We also have to remember, what about the Apple TVs now? All the things we're changing and adding, just like I was talking about earlier in my car, the things I don't need anymore have been replaced by some other things that I do need. So think about the Apple TV, along with software for connecting wirelessly to projection devices. We use programs like Reflector and Air Server to project our iPads up to our projector screens. So it's really nice to be thinking about those things. Another thing we have to think about here in Texarkana, we have to think about our 3D printers now. Those things are actually showing up in our art classrooms, and even our literacy classrooms are using 3D printers to print scenes when they're talking about digital storytelling. So we have to think about 3D printers, and we have to think about that printer filament that costs money. We have to add that to our budgets also. I do believe one thing that we have to stop doing is supporting devices and software that are obsolete and have reached their life's end. We don't see too many fax machines anymore, do we? And remember, Microsoft works, and the list goes on. Those things we shouldn't support anymore. The right tool for the right job. On the screen, you see a jackhammer and you see a screw. Do you need a jackhammer to turn the screw? And you see that a lot I've been in technology purchases for the past, I guess, almost, I want to say 12 years. And I get these requests across my desk when I was a technology director. I need this computer right here in my classroom. I need this in my office. And I'm looking at the device and I'm looking at the end user and I'm going, wait, that's not what you need. So you always have to, being a technology director, you get to say no a lot. And sometimes I had to say no on those type of things because it really wasn't the right tool for the right job. Only buy what the end user needs. There is no need to purchase a gamer's computer system for a classroom that uses web-based tools, or an administrator who wants the latest and greatest for a web-based classroom walkthrough software. It is no longer sufficient for students to have less access to technology tools than the teacher, nor is it enough for any one suite of software to serve as a tool of technology mastery. I hear that a lot. We're a Microsoft shop. Well, there are other tools out there besides Microsoft or Google that I may need to use for mastery. For students' performance to get their potential, students need access to constant evolving arrays of technological tools and activities that demand problem-solving skills, decision-making skills, teamwork, and innovation. I saw a great presentation yesterday on Compass Learning's GoQuest program where student activities require the students to use many different formats, mostly digital, to actually finish their final product. It was a really cool program I saw yesterday with GoQuest. One of the greatest benefits of 21st century technology infusion is the key mandates for technology integration. Technology students have composed their work for an audience of one. By using technology resources, by using technological resources to establish authentic audiences for student work, we tell students that their work is worth seeing, worth reading, and worth doing. In our district, we have our students creating interactive books. We have our students blogging. Those type things are more than just the teacher. Lots of people see them. And with our Common Core standards here, we know that students have to publish to the web so others can comment on their work. Authentic audiences come in many forms. We can have classroom presentations. We can have school news shows, which requires technology, upgraded technology. We can have school websites where they actually do things. We can have film festivals, which actually involves technology also. Literary publications that may be published online, another involvement of technology. And another thing we do, we also do online publishing through blogs and other Web 2.0 tools. We have competitions and contests. We actually, like I said earlier, we write interactive books using iBook Author and actually post those to the web in the iBook store. We use video creation software. We actually use iPads in our district also. So we actually use EduCreation, or we may use Explain Everything, those type of tools we need for the classroom. And also, like we're doing right now, we're doing a Hangout. We also do Hangouts, and we also Skype, and we also do several virtual field trips. So that was another piece of instructional technology getting ready for the future that had to be put into budgets in our schools, and we made sure that we put those in our magnet grant budgets also. Students are at the stage to start the transition from consuming content to creating it. When we first received iPads, our big things were just consuming content. But as we found the apps and we started looking through the App Store, we started finding apps that we could use to create. And the biggest tool was when the iPad 2 was released, we had a camera and we were able to create using video, which was very powerful. Another tool we have is the cloud. Now that's cloud computing. If somebody asks you what cloud computing is, just put a cotton ball in front of the computer, and that's cloud computing. Cloud computing relies on applications and file storage that reside on the internet with minimal resources to store on the local computer's hard drive. A major advantage, the cloud computer, is you can work on a project anywhere at any time. Many of our students have internet access at school. They also have it at home. In one school district I work in, it's a school that is actually a STEM school, and a lot of the kids, it's a rural area of Arkansas, a lot of kids don't have internet access at home, but there is a local McDonald's store, and there's a local hotel that has a space for the students to actually work on their projects if they need Wi-Fi. These using the cloud is very cost saving. Unlike software that resides on hard drives, web-based applications are often provided at no cost to the user. We use Google Apps for Education in our district, and we also use Microsoft 365. We love our Google Apps because everybody can have access to it for free. They offer a full featured set. I use Google Apps for my work in my college work, where I actually turn assignments in. I use Google Documents. I don't even use Microsoft Office unless I'm at a computer. That's the only thing I can get to. Now you can also lower a school district's computing budget by using these inexpensive computers to access the cloud. Chromebooks are inexpensive, and the storage is actually free. We implemented over 3,000 Chromebooks in the Texarkana district this year, and these are items that have required almost no maintenance. We've had a few screens that may have broken, but out of 3,000 devices, I think we had maybe 3 screens that broke, and that's all the maintenance we've had to provide to these machines. The browsers update themselves, so it's a big cost savings. I was reading one article that said on estimate the actually using Google Apps for Education, a district of 7,300 students and 3,000 computers can save approximately $200,000 a year in hardware, software, storage, printing, and supply costs. So when you're thinking about budgeting for the future, think about saving in hardware, software, storage, printing, and support costs. How do we make this happen? Communication is key. Districts must follow a systematic process of planning, communication, professional development, assessment, evaluation, and leadership support. Was noted by Leslie Wilson, who's the CEO of the One-to-One Institute, a nonprofit from Mason, Michigan. He said that the spray and pray approach gets you nowhere. Spraying every kid with a device and praying something miraculously happens in the education system for them, she says, it's a process, and the vision up front is what's primary. So you have to have a vision, you have to communicate, you have to involve all stakeholders. That means from the office, central office, to the high school classroom office, to the high school office, the classroom, the elementary classroom. There are a lot of pieces that come in play when you're actually planning for technology for the future. With our Google Apps for Education and Chromebook and iPad implementation this year, we have seen more students engaged than ever before. Students were standing outside of our libraries waiting for us to return the devices after we had an inventory check earlier this year. I really believe communication between all parties involved made this happen. I don't know how many times we've stressed in our schools. You can put that in Google Drive. Remember, you've got Google Docs. Remember, you can put that in Google Drive. Of the 4,200 users that we have 63,000 documents in Google Drive that have been placed there in the last 6 months. I think it's working. We're moving from the old way of thinking to using cloud. So I'm so proud of our district for doing that. Something else we have to think about is purchasing. I'm against education monocultures. I have yet to see one activity, one teaching style, or one type of schooling that works for everybody. But there are some things you have to standardize, especially in technology, and that's always hard for some people to think. We have to standardize on technology equipment and software and services. We have to increase our bulk purchasing and discounts when we do that. That's huge for a lot of schools. We have to decrease our inventory, supplies, and parts. We have to increase the amount of time devoted on training on multiple products, and that's where we're going. We have schools that are implementing all these different programs, are web-based tools and things of that nature, but we have to have time to train on these multiple products. And we also have to decrease the time for technical support. That's why I stress cloud computing. And also increase the likelihood of compatibility to legacy systems. When we go out and purchase something, we also have to make sure that it works on what we have already. The only way to create such a standardized is by having an enforced policy that states that all technology purchases need to be made through a single department. A vision for the future. You know, we thought back a long time ago that this is what cars would look like, and maybe they're getting that way. Maybe they'll be flying real soon. A vision for the future. We have to develop a progressive technology-infused district. It's not about money. We have to remember it's about a mindset. That's something I have to stress when I teach Visible Learning by John Hattie. Everything is about a mindset first. The money is the second thing, but we have to have a mindset before we get to the money. To successfully implement such a program, a school must be led by proactive leaders and not knee-jerk reactors. These leaders, they make the needs for the 21st century learning of the learner a priority. They deliberately empower teachers to innovatively craft digital learning experiences that promote discovery and creation, and they establish a shared vision and a unique plan for the students and teachers. So how do we start there? First, we have to assemble a team of administrators, technology specialists, educators, parents, and students who can collaborate to create a shared vision for the 21st century learning. This vision should establish not only ideas for technology-infused classrooms, but don't forget about the net standards and progressive technology objectives that are outlined how we teach our skills when they're introduced, when they're developed, and when they're mastered by the students. So there's certain things we have to have at the elementary level that we don't have to have at the middle school level, that the students have already mastered for high school. So we have to think about the tools that are needed for every level when we're talking about our students. Additionally, the vision should account for the evolution of the program to sufficiently adapt to emerging needs of learners. So we have to make sure that we adapt the tools that we have for our students for future endeavors. So now we're not printing much paper because we have Google Docs, but now we're also 3D printing. So we have to think about those things that happen in the future. Once you have crafted a common vision, this team can perform a needs assessment, which is really critical to making anything happen. Do you need to reallocate or obtain more hardware resources for the classroom? What trainings do teachers need in the technology integration? What do you need to explore an array of Web 2.0 resources to determine what are best suited for your educational environment? Because there's so much out there, Web 2.0, but there's some things that we really don't need, and there's some things that have a shock value that really don't have any content value when we're using it. One needs that is often overlooked is to support a designated person. Perhaps my favorite person is a technology integration specialist or coach to assist teachers as they implement technology use in their classrooms. This team can then analyze this information to create a unique plan to address the needs identified in the assessment. And I'll go back to that technology integration specialist or coach before I close. That person is key to making a lot of the technology happen in a classroom. That person is key for assisting a teacher and also assisting students. This team, like I said, after that, the team can analyze the information to create a unique plan to address the needs identified in the assessment. So thank you very much. I've got one more slide here. And also, people need to also, as our integration specialists are, those tech-savvy teachers with a vision and plan in place, enlist a handful of innovative educators to the use of new technology and methodology in their classrooms. Encourage these early adapters to create a personal learning network, we call those PLNs, through online communities such as Classroom 2.0, our Twitters, Ed Chats. There are lots of Ed Chats. We actually have one here in Arkansas on Thursday nights at 9 o'clock. It's Arkansas Ed Chat. And it started a lot when we first started this. It was mostly what technology tools we have. We've actually moved that to more about the content and things of that nature. They have been wonderful, and we use those to share and develop our skills and our resources. So if there are any questions, I'm going to go to the next slide here. There's a survey here, and if there are any questions, I'll entertain those now.
All right, Harry, I don't see any questions in the Q&A app at the moment, but we'll give people a little more time if they have any questions for you. Thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you.
All right, everyone, thank you for coming today. Be sure to fill out the survey, hashtag with us on Twitter to join the conversation, and we'll see you at our next session.